The United States had 20 years to get it right, along with NATO, and we failed. And in essence, Afghanistan is a failed state. I think there has to be some kind of humanitarian support, but the chances of the Taliban changing color and stripes is zero. And so it's just one of the tragedies of life that we see what's happening in Afghanistan. And the fact of the matter is that the United States is largely responsible.
Well, shouldn't there be some kind of direct engagement and dialogue when it comes to the women and girls of Afghanistan? I mean,
of course,
an entire generation is not going to be able to get an education.
Of course. But the fact of the matter is we had 20 years to get Afghanistan right, and we didn't. And the poor Afghans are now stuck with the Taliban rule, which is medieval. And I just do not see how that's going to change. And of course, the consequences it has for Pakistan is to help destabilize Pakistan, which is already a basket case in terms of the economy. So,
well, let me ask you about. I want to get to Pakistan in a second, but talk to me about the security situation in Afghanistan. There are those who say since the Taliban took over, the security situation has actually improved.
That's correct. If you view security as people being safer from crime and physical acts of violence against them, but the people are not more secure in terms of having human rights, women having any kind of rights whatsoever, and so it may be safe to walk the streets, but so what? I mean, how can you enjoy a full and prosperous life when the Taliban are imposing such huge control? So yes, technically, Afghanistan is safer, so to speak, but it's not better.
Let me now move on to Pakistan, which I know you know they began the mass deportation of undocumented Afghans because of what they say are security risks. So Pakistan says the measure is necessary to stem the growing influence of terror groups operating in their border region. What are the wider implications there? How much will this damage the relationship between these two neighbors?
Well, there is no relationship. Pakistan, through its military intelligence, DI, has been trying to control Afghanistan for many, many, many years. And the fact of the matter is this will exacerbate these relationships. And Pakistan already has an economy that's suffering. The floods last year imposed huge, huge damage, which has not been repaired. Imran Khan, the former prime minister, is running for prime minister in the coming elections from jail, which should give the Americans something to think about when our elections get here. Pakistan is in the worst shape. It's having problems with a line of control with India on its northeastern border. And it's very much dependent upon China, who is going to have, I think, increasing influence in Pakistan. But quite frankly, Pakistan does not have a really functioning government. And it needs, I don't want to say a revolution, but it really needs some kind of leadership that can really engage all the potential that Pakistan has, but right now that's being wasted.
And now let me move on to India and Pakistan. Constantly at odds over the disputed Kashmir region. It has escalated into 3 wars and several armed skirmishes. What is the solution when the stakes, Harlan, are so high with these two nuclear powers?
Right now there is no solution. There was a possible solution when Qasem Zardari was president because he got along quite well with the Indian leaders, but right now, no, it's divided. And because of Pakistan's position with China, and China, of course, and India do not have the best relations, the chances of doing something on the line of control or preventing conflict, anything beyond that, I think, is something that is not diplomatically possible.
And how do you think the United States is watching all this? How concerned should the United States be?
Asieh, we got enough problems on our hands. On our southern border, it's leaking thousands of immigrants a day. The war in Gaza is a nightmare, a catastrophe in which Israel is no longer the victim, but it's becoming the villain. And then, of course, what's happening in Ukraine. So it's very difficult for the United States to keep its attention on so many places. The only good news I can say is that military and military relationships have started again between China and the United States. I think that is excellent. And I also think that the meeting in San Francisco between President Xi and President Biden was a great step forward to de-escalate the tensions. There's no reason why the United States and China should be at each other's throats. We're two great powers. We're dependent upon each other. And I'm very delighted about this initial step to begin military-to-military dialogue. That is one good piece of news. in an otherwise very, very dark and gloomy situation.